Should we talk about the new release coming up?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest one. So we're doing 1.0 tomorrow. We'll do probably like a release candidate today. I know it's a short turnaround between release candidate and release, but we've been testing the alpha obviously before. We have great release notes. I think Art made them. So thank you, Art. I posted the link on the notes. So if you have opinions on release notes, feel free to look at that. I don't know what else there's to say. I mean, we'll post we have some blog posts lined up and stuff, and we'll post on socials and things. So feel free to, a star, like, whatever, share. I don't know. Anything else to say? Anyone?
What's the most exciting features? Maybe we should ask each person to say something. Because I think everybody here worked on Agent Gateway for a while.
Yeah. A favorite feature in 1.0 or the entire thing?
Yeah, the entire release. I guess it's been a while now. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably the new cell stuff, but that's not exciting to other people, probably.
Okay. I assume that would help with usability also and open up doors for more scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really user facing yet, but it kind of is. Like it's what enabled, for example, Nina's PR to do health checks on backends or health config. But I just like it. I've got a blog about it.
Nice. Anybody else have a favorite?
So I think I would echo the cell stuff, John. I mean, I think it's incredibly powerful. I mean, we probably need to do a better case of sort of promoting it. And I know I kind of messaged you earlier this week in terms of maybe we can sort of add a bit more kind of validation around cell expressions. So I'm looking forward to all the things that we don't have to build as a result of cell being so deeply embedded and also so performant.
Yeah, I'm just a cell evangelist at this point, pretty much. So the proxy is the side business. I agree. Agent Gateway is the light wrapper around our cell development environment that we're building. So.
Yeah, I'll call out that it allows us to do things that would have never been possible coming from an Envoy background without significant work. So it is really exciting to see. But the other thing that I'll call out that's not necessarily cell related is, and it's not like super exciting, but it is kind of exciting, is the fact that the controller is now embedded. I think it's just going to make things a lot easier going forward to iterate faster on the Kubernetes side of the house, and it's going to be tightly coupled to the proxy. So it's just going to make, I think it's just going to make the dev experience significantly easier, along with make it much more clear from a consumer, any users, what's going on. We've had questions pretty much constantly when it was still part of K-Gateway on what does the versioning mean, what does Agent Gateway in K-Gateway mean. There's like a ton of things that I think are being answered more clearly with this move.
So I guess I haven't been updated on that. So if I install the 1.0 version of Agent Gateway, do I still have the controller as its own part, or it's been merged with the proxy?
No, it's still split data plane and control plane. It's just now there's no correlation to K-Gateway at all. So the project's and the code, like there's one repo, but yeah, 2 artifacts. So if you're not paying too close attention, like technically, like you wouldn't really notice that much difference from 2.2 because we already switched the name, that you don't really necessarily care where the Git repo is, that sort of thing. I mean, the version does go from 2.2 to 1.0, which is kind of awkward. But it's not a huge change in the user experience. But it is a huge change for us. Like the velocity we've had since we've done this is crazy. Like I was on the fence originally, but it's been very good.
That's good to hear. Yes, I guess from a user perspective, it's not a whole lot of change because right now, even though I install Agent Gateway from, I guess the Agent Gateway was split out from K Gateway, the chats anyway, so it probably wouldn't make much difference like to my Kubernetes cluster because my Agent Gateway control plane is in its own namespace anyway. So yeah.
Right. I think what I will say though is with the split of the agent gateway, like the reason why it is not so user facing is because we already did the hard work of extracting out, the API and the Helm charts and all of that from the K Gateway Envoy portion. So even though it was still living in K Gateway, right, it still was kind of separated from a docs and an API and policy perspective. This is kind of just taking that to the final, like to the conclusion, and just moving the code, which is no longer, there's nothing really shared anymore with K Gateway, moving it into the repo where it belongs, and that will clarify the versioning and clarifies the or improves the velocity, like John was getting at, or like I was getting at, because now we no longer have to worry about like a different repo and a different org. And trying to do things again, even though the code was like, mostly split, it still was like, there are still things that were shared. And now we can kind of improve those things that were shared because we don't have that responsibility anymore.
Yeah, makes sense. Anyone else have a favorite feature to share?
Yeah, I can go next. I think mine is kind of cell related as well. This is a new feature that kind of got in last minute because I needed it for the Edge Day demo, but you can now do model failover with a user configured cell expression. So yeah, they're not paid for promotions for cell, but I was kind of not really a believer of cell until I like benefited from it. But it's really cool because it's something that you can't really do in Envoy. But now with our priority groups for the AI backend, you can configure, a failover policy to have your models failover from like using OpenAI to a local model, which is what I'm showing for the Edge Day demo. So you can operate, with the Wi-Fi turned off by setting that cell expression to like fail on whatever policy you want. So in my case, it's just like the 5xx errors, but it's pretty cool how flexible it is.
That's so great to hear. Do we have an example how to do that?
I'll check with the docs team, but it's pretty simple to set up. Like we can maybe add it to our existing AI backend docs where we have the priority grouping because it's just like a feature of a policy on top of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Nina. I guess the art I probably know your favorite is the Ask AI feature doc, maybe.
Hey, yeah, that was definitely a fun one to have the AI bot for the docs. I think also we've just added a ton of new doc guides and pages and that sort of thing for both the standalone and the Kubernetes. So it's nice to have both of those on the same website this time. Since the last release, there was still the Kubernetes on the K Gateway site. Yeah. I also like John's simplified LLM config. That made it a lot easier. Got to delete hundreds of lines of docs.
That's awesome. Anybody else wants to share? By the way, can we see the tokens used from the Agent Gateway UI or somewhere? I'm just curious.
Not right now. That's on the roadmap, though,
Okay.
for standalone, not for Kubernetes.
I see. Yeah, it would be really nice to see. Why is it not for Kubernetes? Is that
because maybe we could do it on Kubernetes, I suppose. But the like on That's a good question. You got me stumbling because I don't have a good answer.
Yeah, but I just think that's a cool feature to demo. That's why the reason I ask for it, especially now there's a lot of discussion on how do I improve my accuracy of my agent with MCP or not, with skills. And I think Agent Gateway can play a key role in there to provide visibilities of like how much tokens and back and forth being consumed with different variation. So that's why I was asking. And then the moment he said it's only on local, I'm like, okay, if I'm running on Kubernetes, and then I wouldn't be able to show it.
So I mean, we could solve this with Grafana, right? I mean, we are dog fooding Agent Gateway as a proxy kind of internally, and Grafana is we've got a Grafana dashboard that's showing kind of usage and spend. So
Yeah,
I know
like that's really like the reason why at least my initial answer was only on standalone, because on Kubernetes we're assuming that you're like the UI is not writable. You have like a telemetry store probably like, and so we actually, by the way, we have a Grafana dashboard that's pre-made, but it's stuck in the K Gateway repo and never got pulled over. So we should probably liberate that.
Okay, yeah.
Our release.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be really nice if we provide a built-in dashboard for like the
There's probably better ones can be made too. Like the dashboard, I just made it a few months ago, but now we have a lot of like real usage that I'm sure they've made their own panels and stuff. I've seen a lot. I've seen at least 5 different dashboards of people on our internal Slack that's like they've made. So I'm sure we can make one very nice one and publish that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I have another question on Agent Gateway, if nobody else wants to share a favorite feature. I guess I'll share my favorite feature. I haven't played with it for a while, but I think the auth function is very, very rich and powerful. Like that I can easily plug into an IDP like Keycloak and to do like cell-based authorization. I think it's just super powerful, and it's just so easy to not require any code change on the MCP server, and to be able to have authentication, authorization all together. I think that's a very nice feature of Agent Gateway. So I do have another question. Yesterday, I had a conversation with somebody who talked about how Kong was super successful, and he brought up this concept of marketplace, which you probably heard of. With Kong, they have a very rich marketplace, and you probably saw yesterday there was an Envoy marketplace related to. So I started wondering, is there any marketplace opportunity we could potentially have for Agent Gateway for like partnership, community growth related?
It's a good question. So I think there's
I mean, I probably can help answering that question, because if we're talking about most of marketplaces, they use Helm, right? So if we just publish Helm's kind of package their way, it should be possible. And also,
I think this is a different, Peter. It's not about us being on their marketplace. It's about having a marketplace for extensions for the proxy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people, it's more about, okay, so I'm using Agent Gateway with this. Do I need to figure out to do it myself, or has somebody else already done it and I could go to the marketplace and just grab that integration so I don't have to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, so I feel like there's 2 things you might have on a marketplace. One we could do, and we kind of have today, but I haven't checked. Maybe the docs are amazing, maybe they're not. Is like integrations, which is like, I want to go use Agent Gateway with Grafana. I want to use it with LangFuse. I want to use it with OpenAI. I don't know, like all these different things. That we already have to some extent, at least.
I think we have it more on local, because I remember
maybe
seeing.
more on local. Yeah, like I have one on that's like Tailscale or something. I think it probably pops up there.
Yeah, we do
Yeah, we have a lot here. So we have that, and that's fine. But if we want one that's more like exactly like those other ones you talked about, those are about extensions. Like we don't have an extension mechanism in Agent Gateway directly today. So like we could say like, sure, go bring in OPA, which uses XDOF, for example, and that's our integration. But it's not quite like the other ones. I mean, maybe it checks the boxes that you care about, but from a technical standpoint, they're slightly different, right?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So with OPA, let's just give an example, right? Using OPA. If I use OPA with Envoy, right, it's I need to install, I assume, the extension, Envoy extension for OPA. Are you saying with Agent Gateway, the extension literally is just the configuration example to show people how that could be done without additional install of this plugin?
Practically speaking, that's how it works in Envoy too, because no, people don't really use often. Like the whole like Envoy marketplace thing doesn't really make sense because that's not really how people deploy on Kubernetes, which is how people deploy. But yes, like essentially yes, like you're not making a plugin for OPA and Agent Gateway. You're just configuring XDOF to point to OPA.
Okay, now my next question is the configuration for OPA and other platform valuable to our user that they would say, hey, this is something worth sharing and rating and putting star out there for other people to reuse? I suspect it probably is because, like, for instance, I think Nina was putting in Slack message yesterday. She got Cursor working with Agent Gateway, with us. I think Key Clock, that example, I'm thinking loud here. Gosh, I want to, now that I know she got it working, I want to do it on my machine too. I could figure out how to do that myself. But if there's something in the marketplace, then, why wouldn't I just grab one and use it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the end goal of having such a thing. I can see some benefits, but I'm just not sure how much benefit there is to having like a marketplace framing versus this page already. And like what every example you said should absolutely be here. Like we should have a page on how to use it with Cursor, how to use it with XYZ.
Yeah. The only thing I can see difference is I think the doc might be a little bit static, and if we have a marketplace, we maybe encourage more people to share, to rate it, to kind of have stats around it.
Yeah, I mean, I do. That was one of the things I thought as well, was not just stars, but comments as well. So someone say, hey, you set it up this way, but here's an even better way or something. But so it's more collaborative. I can see the appeal of that. I don't know if it's, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's good marketing too. That's why I started to think about it. It's the engagement. It's kind of like a multiplier of just the static integration of what we have. Yeah, I mean, something to think about. I've just been wondering about this, just started this week.
And would these like kind of almost blog-like features of rating and commenting, would that just be on these integration related guides? Or is this something we were thinking for like other types of doc pages as well?
That's a good question, because I think for it's certainly very valuable for us, the integration, because everybody have different scenario. But even for other page, I've seen some doc have like a thumbs up on certain page. Like, is this page helpful? I think Istio might even have it. Like what I like about Istio, I think, is like when you go to a page, I think it can, you can say if it works. Let's say if I'm saying deploy a sample, right? This is a very simple one. Was this information useful? I think it would be really good if you have that. And also, I really like what Istio doc is. There's an added button if you find something you don't like on this page, that needs clarification. This button allows people to collaborate and submit a PR without, figure out, well, this thing is in GitHub. It's just, improve the efficiency of people spending like 1 minute to have a contribution versus I need to clone and figure out all the other stuff to submit a PR. So that's something we should definitely looking at. I think you are working on the page test, Art, last time you mentioned. That's another feature I also really like, the Istio doc side.
Yeah, the page test is now live, and I think we have like 26 of the guides with it now. But like not all the guides, or like this page would not have it because it's a concept page. But I'm trying to think what would be if you go maybe scroll up.
Maybe Kubernetes, is it standalone or Kubernetes?
Yeah, I think the getting started pages have them, for example. You go to get started and then click one of them. Hopefully. Yeah, the verified.
Okay, that's
Um,
very cool.
Yeah, we do have an issue to do the edit in GitHub. I think that that's possible out of the box with this theme. I can, like, I'll make a note to look into the, like, if there's a thumbs up or something. I think we also have this ability in the chat, like the Ask AI at least. So it's at least somewhere. But like if you talk to it, I think that you can rate it, but I'll follow up on that too.
Oh, you mean like if I type something, how to get started, and it gives me an answer, and then I can rate this
I
sounds helpful?
think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this definitely has it.
Mhm.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, but on the page, I think it would be very useful too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll look into it. I don't think that's a native capability of this particular Hugo theme, but I'll try to find out. And I mean, we could just build it if it's not, but
Yeah, thank you so much for looking into that. I mean, we need to think a little bit more about this marketplace concept. Yeah, but these are generic things. Docs, I appreciate you looking into it.
okay, cool. Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else we should be discussing?
I had an item, Lynn, on the above where you're at. It's the so we were talking last time. I don't think we're gonna have a lot of time to get into it now, but related to the release notes, a lot of this was done manually because we don't have a release notes process. Last time we were talking about, is it something that we could just use the default GitHub release notes capability for, or is it worth trying to use what we have in Kgateway, which is not that much different from the GitHub one. It just has a custom kind of label check that we introduced in CI to make sure that you have the right labels and that you have the right format for the PR description. I think initially what I'm curious is just if anyone has a strong opinion in one direction or not, because as we get V1 out tomorrow, and we're going to start having new features coming into main pretty much immediately, it will be good to get something in place as soon as possible so that the release notes process for the next release is a lot less tedious and challenging. I think, John, I'm mainly looking to get some feedback from you. I think you were kind of leaning towards the GitHub option, maybe. I don't know if you have any strong thoughts, though, on this.
I don't have that strong thoughts. The one thing is just make it, the lowest friction for contribution, the better. Like in Istio, you have to put a file in the repo. I absolutely hate that. I have a script that posts a PR that says bypass release notes. Like I just put on every single one of my PRs. Don't tell anyone outside this call. I know it's recorded. So I wouldn't, like that's bad. But anything else that's like in the description or label, I think is good.
Is the Kgateway version, like, is that too much or?
I didn't know there was a Kgateway one, so it's probably not too much, but maybe it's not enough because I've probably never made a release note on Kgateway.
I suspect you have, John, but it's been such a good UX that you didn't even know. So yeah, maybe that might be good enough.
Maybe it would be great if there was like a button that instead of merge, it was like merge and release note. That would be the ideal. But obviously that would be up to GitHub. So
okay, I think there's enough there where it's like I will at least run with at least kind of writing down some of it. The K-Gateway one, I'm actually a pretty big fan of, and it's really straightforward and it is very low friction. So without trying to reinvent the wheel using Git, because like GitHub has, you know, basic stuff, but you're still going to have to add your own categories and your own CI checks to make sure that it's done correctly. So maybe the K-Gateway one is the right call here, but I'll write down some thoughts and then we can find someone to work on it, I think is the plan. Does anyone disagree with that plan? Okay, sounds like no.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence. I think we're right on time. Well, I'm going to take a spin on the release candidate today. And so the release is on time tomorrow. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.